and a couple of suggestions regarding emotional intelligence habits, which is a really fascinating book. I'm starting to appreciate it even more and more. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Um, so let's see. So first one, executive coaching models and emotional intelligence. So I didn't know this guy's name. His name is Sir John Whitmore. So John Whitmore, apparently he's a carrier. You're famous. You're familiar with him?
I think he's got like a
Yeah.
Facebook group.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
co-founded
in
Performance
Australia.
Consultants. Carrie, do you know any of his writings, or have you known anything of his
I
work at all?
don't. I don't. Who is it again?
Sir John Whitmore.
Okay.
Carrie Burns, have you've read have you read about him or used his models or?
Somewhere on my, yeah, the Grow model for sure. I have, and then somewhere on my bookshelf there is yeah, his book that's
Yeah.
yeah. Have you read the book?
No, I can't say I
Yeah.
have. What struck me was that his connection to the inner game and Tim Galloway. See, their whole concept, if I understand it, in fact, it's the next section here. Yeah, author performance for growth, coaching for performance. Their focus, I believe, is to kind of study a person's internal dialogue. The question is, what are you saying to yourself that's going to pull down your performance? You
Mhm.
know, when I think of inner game with Tim Galloway, in fact, maybe next year I'll queue up one of the videos I have from him. Actually, his big book is The Inner Game of Tennis. He has a couple of inner game books. And he talks about potential minus distraction equals performance. One of my favorite equations. Potential minus distraction. And the distraction, they claim, comes from us internally. We start to doubt ourselves, we start to question ourselves. And what he tries to do is kind of slice through that doubt, and he pushes for performance. Don't think about it, just do it. So there's a sense of action that's to kind of connect it with. What I thought was interesting is that I didn't know Sir Whitmore at all, but there's something about the commonality among coaching, among different models that are out there. And the first one is setting a goal, right? What is the objective of our coaching session? There's a certain amount of clarity I always like to gain up front with the client, because I don't like a client who shows up and says, okay, John, what are we looking to accomplish? That's not my role. That's up to the client. You know, why are we getting together? Why are you hiring me? Why is the organization sponsored you? What is it you want to take away from this session, right? Next section, and connected to that is, okay, let me understand what you want to accomplish. And to get there, what are the obstacles in your way? What is something we can openly talk about? You know, and that's where we're starting to look at some of the EQI starts to come into it. You know, so this is just your average, typical your coaching model for a coaching session. But in the back of my mind, just like we start the EQI with self-actualization, the goal, it's the same thing with starting a coaching session. What is we're going to accomplish? So 45 minutes, an hour from now, we can look back on the time we spent and say, okay, here's what we talked about. This worked or this didn't work. And this really was brought home for me, this whole concept of it when I took on a client almost 2 years ago. I was still working, which to me is amazing. Um, and because he's one of these clients where I thought I was going to fizzle out in the first couple of months. And for some reason, for the last 2 years, we've kind of stayed together. And what I like about him is at the end of every session, he gives me feedback on how the session went. In fact, just last week, I had my final session for 24-24. He's told me how I did as a coach. He reviewed the whole year with me. He said, remember back in February we started this? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you know, through April, yeah, and there was that transition. I really appreciate that part. I thought you were really solid. I never got so much feedback in my life on my coaching style. And what was funny was that I didn't solicit it. It was part of his completion as an executive to kind of do a kind of 360 in his life at the end of the year and to give people feedback. But for me, it was absolutely fascinating how we took it on. So reality, that's where EQI comes in, the options. Yeah, I want to make sure that when the client has an issue out there, we're talking about different possibilities, ways of addressing it. We get down to options. This is where I really have to be clear on something. I got to be clear that I want to make sure that the option that the client walks away with is in fact the client's option. And by that I mean I realize one of the four scariest words that a coach wants to hear with the beginning of a session. I think the four scariest words are "I took your advice."
Oh,
Like when a client says that to me, "I took your advice." Oh, what? Wait, what is he or she talking about? What advice did I give? And totally, I don't give advice. I help guide you to the advice, and you decide which way to go, right? So when they put it, they frame it that way. That's when I hold my breath. I took your advice until they say, and it worked out. Okay, let's back up. What was the situation? So every once in a while it doesn't work out, but to be able to say these are your options, maybe I'll add an option. But as far as your will, as far as what you want to accomplish, as far as what your plans, what next steps, no. That's got to be yours. I'm here to monitor. I'm here to listen, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. There's very few things I feel uncomfortable telling people what to do. Opening up a PowerPoint slide. Right, that's within my executive strength, if you will. But there isn't much. But yeah, it's funny because you cover so many things during a session. Yeah, who knows where it's gonna go? But those are to me the scariest words. So, any questions, comments on the growth coaching model? Do you use it? Do you espouse it? Is it something you connect with? Comments?
I mean, I do use it, but if you like do it religiously, then you risk coming across as a robot. So it's important to like know it, but don't do it like a checklist, because otherwise it'll be a better experience for you.
That's really it. And some clients will put it right out there. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing is I find coaches out there, let me tell you, here's what you should do, A, B, C, D. Whoa, man, whoa. I used to carry liability insurance. I don't anymore, but exactly in case the client misinterpreted me and did something and ended up getting fired for it. I don't want to get sued for it, but there was something about, that's really fascinating. Lauren, please carry.
I was just going to say, I used to use this quite a lot in coaching. And I also do some consulting work as well for companies.
Great.
And what I found is that using this model, so Merrick, I think your point is well made, which is you don't want it to seem too robotic. But what I found actually in using this, just as a framework, essentially following these steps, if you will, is that when I do consulting, just by having done it so much, it's actually how I consult as well. So sometimes they'll come with all of the options. What are we going to do? And then I have to stop and say, like, okay, hold on. What is your objective again? Where are you trying to go with this? So I just found that it weaves through. Sometimes it doesn't always start with the goal because you jump in wherever they are. But then so I have found it to be really useful, both in coaching and consulting.
Great. No, I appreciate that. Because to me, it's just like you said, it becomes natural over a period of time. All of a sudden, it just kind of kicks in. Lauren, I told my boss that my coach advised me not to do this. Really, the coach really put.
I like sat there because I'm the coach. I was like,
That's great.
I'm thinking like I never said that. But okay, it worked out. So you was able to take a breath and be like, okay, this worked out fine. But so I'm really careful with this coaching client because she will take that up as if I've directed her to do something or not to do something when we're having a conversation about what she wants to do or not want to do. But for some reason, she merges it as if I am the coach who has told her to do something. Like, whoa.
It's an absolutely amazing dynamic. You can have influence over people.
No, it is terrifying when it just happened to me about 6 months ago. It was the first time it ever happened to me. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. All right. So I thought we'd do something a little bit seasonal now. So I came up with the emotional intelligence Scrooge-like behavior. So and it's pre and post, right? So you do the pre-test, and this is pre-ghost. So they have emotional self-awareness from a Scrooge perspective, unaware of negative impact on others. Just not connected. Self-regulation, struggles to manage greediness, right? It's something about that, the way he was raised. We know a little bit about the way he was raised. A drive to accumulate wealth. I don't know if you ever met anyone that is just, their only mission in life is to make more money.
Yes.
How would you describe them?
Narcissistic.
Narcissistic, yeah, that's I like that. That's catches everything.
Answers are like this. Huh?
Anything else? Anyone else? People who are just in it for money.
Yeah. Horrible.
Selfish. Yep. There's almost a coldness to them. They're not going to be happy. There's just something about the people I've known that have just been they're not on the happiness scale. It's on the acquisition scale, and they can never have enough. No one guy always stands out to me. When I asked him, I said, "What?" His manager said, "Go have the conversation with vice president. He's always asking for salary increases. Always asking for salary increases." So I said, "Listen, you're driving the CEO crazy. You're always asking for salary. Always asking for money." I said, I didn't realize that you're in a bad financial situation." He said, "No, money and salary is the only way for me to judge my performance.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how I'm doing in life unless I'm making more money than the people around me." So some people have it as a measurement. You know where it comes from.
And I
But
think, John, the
yeah.
other side of the equation on this is the very people that they need to make money, for them to make money, have skills they don't have.
Yes.
And there tends to be an attitude that comes across that is dismaying to those individuals because they see this very selfish drive, and then they're not performing at their best or feeling valued. So in fact, it kind of creates the opposite, unless you're Elon Musk or somebody else, unless your model is so incredibly brilliant that people don't matter.
Yeah,
So
people don't matter. People, it's all transactional, right? That's kind of the feeling of it. So distant, cold, distant, and then now we have our post, and I refer to this as the Fezziwig-like behavior. And Fezziwig is a successful businessman who took care of you. He invested his money back into his people. So post ghost visit, we're seeing self-awareness, a change in schools, insightful, higher self-awareness, increased self-regulation, impulse control, right? Becomes motivated by kindness and generosity, develops a sense of purpose, and the ability to influence other people. Right? So that's kind of putting it in our seasonal context right now. Now, going into the next step, planning and debriefing the session prep. I just want to spend a couple of seconds here because, again, thinking about how do I get ready for it. So number one is get comfortable. When you're in your coaching space and you're coaching, you notice from distance coaching, you want to make sure that not only you're comfortable, but there's no distractions there, right? And for me, I can pretty much control my environment for the most part. I have dogs I put away, but other than that, you want to make sure that focus is there. I've been in some challenging environments. This is you as well. I remember working in a fishbowl, where the only coaching space was this fishbowl I was showing to the client, and the entire office was walking around us, but we were in this quiet, soundproof fishbowl. It was one of the weirdest environments I ever remember coaching in. And to me, I'll never forget, because I really had to focus on the client. Everything that was around me was a possible distraction. But there's something about entering and owning the environment that's very important. When I first meet a client, and a lot of times I just get an EQI profile with a name. Right. And that's just enough information to put in, and it's hopefully a job title. Because if I have the title, the company, a website, there's a lot of information you can glean off of there. So even before I've met the client, I have a little, intelligence as to what they're all about, what their background's in. Look at page 3, what pops out. And again, I tend to look generally around self-regard, self-actualization, just to kind of get a little bit of a flavor for it. Then also, I recommend having a pen and water available. I broke my cardinal rule. I haven't got water nearby. Because I notice I get dry when I'm listening or talking. I just don't want to say, "Excuse me, I'll be right back." I want to be able to stay present with the client. Reason pens are there. I always seem to be dropping them lately. So instead of looking for a pen and bending over, I want to make sure, because I'm constantly taking notes. That's my way of connecting with the client from the beginning. Everything the client says, everything they do, the environment, whatever, it says something to me. Are you home today? You're working from home? Do you work from home every day? Everything that I ask. What are the skill connections you can make just by looking at the profile? And that's where my questions start to come in. Because just by following the Sarasa form, it's just naturally going to be some things that are going to be popping up. Then we have some coaches get centered with relaxation exercises, deep breathing. I can't say I do that myself. Some coaches listen to music. That's more my style. I like to take about a good 30 seconds. Before I had to transfer energy to my client, right? So there's something about me turning everything on for a couple of minutes. Just like, okay, I got to exhale. Okay, now I'm ready for it. There's something about being charged, or there's another one I noticed. I use this one. There's a lot. These are all lined up, on my desktop, just to be able. I notice a lot of them have energy, right? There's something about that. Feeling that I pick up on it, So those are the things that gets me ready for a session. How do I prep myself? Because life pulls you down. Yeah, Lauren.
Do you do these before our session together?
Yes, I do. There's something about this time of day. It's dark outside. It's cold. It's December, right? So whatever. I usually have more lights on. But I've noticed that I fall back on music when I want to get my energy level up. There's different types of music depending on what you want to focus on. I've noticed those are my latest go-to songs. There's something about, and I think that's what we do with our clients is we transfer a level of emotional self-awareness that either they don't have or they want to build upon. Because if I'm showing up strong, excited, looking forward to the conversation, engaged, I'm looking for them to pick up on that. I'm looking to lift them, whatever they've been throughout their day, even if it's this time of the afternoon. Sometimes I do, I do this. I'm looking to someone in California. Oh, well, they're far away. It's a different time zone. They're mid-afternoon. I'm late, early evening. I got to get myself, going. Yeah, so there's something about the connection to music that always does it for me. Deep breathing, I'm all for meditation, but I don't get that transfer of energy to people. I think they need or they're looking for from their coach. Yeah. Anybody else do anything different to get ready? Exercise, stretching, there's probably a lot of different ways to do it, but I have to think about it. I have to get ready because sometimes, if something's happened around the house or there's some thing I'm dealing with technically, I got to be able to break whatever that was and enter a different state in a way.